So Joe Biden was in an interview recently, and he was asked, had he reconsidered at all his position on Medicare for all? You know, considering we're in a pandemic and people are dying because they don't have access to get treatment for the pandemic. So he was asked this question.
See what he said.
As you've been seeing, our healthcare system seems to be crumbling underneath this crisis. There is not enough. There's not enough support for the healthcare system. There's not enough support for the American people inside of the healthcare system. Are you now reconsidering your position when it comes to single-payer healthcare?
Single payer will not solve that at all. The thing that is needed is, for example, we have a whole number of hospitals that are being so stretched, including rural hospitals, they're going to need more financing. That doesn't come from a single payer system. That comes from the federal government stepping up and dealing with the concerns that they have, the reimbursement that they're going to get, how they're going to be able to move forward, and how they're going to be able to provide all the needed help that are needed in their communities. This is an opportunity to look at reconstructing the healthcare system in a way that, in fact, can respond more rapidly and more effectively.
This is what I want people to understand. Joe Biden right now on the issue of giving people health care in a pandemic, he is less progressive on this issue than Donald Trump. No, he is. He is. Here's the facts. Donald Trump, just the other day, was talking about plans to, one, give hospitals money to supplement all of the funding for uninsured people getting coronavirus treatment. And matter of fact, he instated that plan. That's in action. They're going to give hospitals money to make sure that all the uninsured Americans have enough resources to not have to foot a bill for coronavirus treatment. Donald Trump, the big bad orange man, the Republican asshole, one of the worst presidents in modern American history, Donald Trump. That's what he just proposed. Versus Joe Biden's plan, which was literally blabbering. He was literally just talking nonsensically, just going on and on, rambling about, we're going to give money to hospitals to make sure they have enough of... The other part of his plan that we didn't mention there was that he wants to expand Obamacare. Right? That he always talks about how we want to build on what we already have. Yeah, that leaves 10 million people uninsured, Joe. That leaves 10 million people uninsured, Joe. What are those people supposed to do? What are those 10 million people supposed to do if they get the coronavirus, huh? Are they supposed to choose between food and coronavirus treatment? Are they supposed to choose between their kids' education and coronavirus treatment? Are they supposed to choose between death or possible death? Is that what they're supposed to choose from, Joe? Are those the options you're going to present them as the Democratic candidate for president of the United States? Really, Joe? That's what Joe Biden represents. And it's crazy to me because he literally had the gall. He had the guts to say with a straight face, oh, Medicare for all. What's that have to do with anything? That's not going to help anything. How dare you? Like, how stupid do you think people really are? Medicare for all is polling at an all-time high, actually, during this crisis. Its favorability went up to about 60% during this crisis. You want to know why? Because people aren't dumb. They aren't stupid. They see that obviously, if you have universally insured healthcare free at the point of service, that will help everybody. Therefore, the system is more efficient and streamlined and less overwhelmed. And most importantly, everyone, regardless of race, class, or creed, can go to the doctor when they get the virus that is killing tens of thousands of people all across the globe. What is wrong with you, Joe Biden? What is wrong with you? How corrupt and spineless are you, where you can't even admit the reality? The reality, which is that single-payer healthcare is just the moral thing to do. It's the correct thing to do. It is what every other major developed country across the globe does. But for some reason, we can't ensure healthcare for all Americans in this country. Your plan still leaves 10 million people uninsured. You are worse on this issue right now than Donald J. Trump. That is a disgrace. And anyone who voted for this man, and anyone who is planning to vote for this man, you should really take this into consideration. You should really give some second thought. Really look at the facts. And look at what your candidate's representing right now. He is worse on this issue than Donald Trump. He's lying. He's just telling bold-faced lies to the people. Medicare for all doesn't help. It's ridiculous. Final point I'll make on this. This is always the point I want to hammer home. When you look at a situation like this and you say, how could Joe Biden not support Medicare for all, especially when we're in the middle of a pandemic? I mean, how crazy are you? Like, that's political suicide, right? Not supporting a policy that ensures health care, specifically when we're in one of the worst healthcare crises in modern history, right? That's political suicide. How stupid are you? No, he's smarter than that. He realizes Medicare for all is overwhelmingly popular. He's not dumb, but he's too corrupt. He's too spineless. He's too sold out. He has to support that position. He has to only support expanding Obamacare because he's beholden to corporate interests. Don't you see that? Don't you see the fact? Like, it's written all over the walls. All these corporate fundraisers this man's gone to for Wall Street, insurance companies, big pharma. Look at the long history over his career of where all that money's coming from. And you tell me he isn't beholden to those interests. Of course he is. Those 60 billionaires who donated to this man's campaign, of course they have influence. That's how the game is played in Washington, D.C. That's how it's played across the country in every single state, local, and federal government institution across this country. That's how it works. And Joe Biden is the living symbol of that. He's the epitome of that corrupt system. So when it comes down to the insurance money and making sure that he has enough money to keep his doors open, because he's not Bernie, he's not going to get a small dollar army to fund his campaign. No, he has to go knocking on the doors of billionaires. He's not beholden to their interests. So when it comes down to a pandemic, those are the people keeping his campaign running. Those are those people keeping him politically afloat. He has to do their bidding. He has to tell lies. He has to stand on the wrong side of history because that's who he's beholden to. I don't genuinely believe Joe Biden's against Medicare for all. I don't. And in fact, earlier in his career, he has argued for Medicare for all. He's in an interview talking about how he gave Bernie the idea. Joe Biden is a corrupt, spineless, careerist politician. That's all he is. And if you vote for him, you will have been fooled.
Yeah, we riding.